Paul, last week, the last time Punk and Gunther stood in the ring, Gunther was revved up, and Punk felt a little passive, a little, kind of chill for CM Punk. It's nice to see him happy and not seeming to have a lot on his mind. But it did lead me and others to think, does he want this, or what's going on, or does he have the fire burning? And I thought this was a good answer to that tonight. How about you?
This was Punk's best night in months. It felt like he really sort of started to feel like CM Punk again for the first time in some time. This was a big win for him. Was it all it could have been with such a rapid build up? I think they did the best they could. But good night for Punk.
Yeah, and I think with what fans want Punk to say and kind of validate is that he believes he's the best in the world if he's going for a world title. I don't care that he's in his mid-40s and isn't who he once was in certain ways. And, the world is certainly a different place. His world is a different place. Especially WWE is in a different place than when he had all the grievances. But for Punk to work in a main event spot in a world title match at an event the caliber of SummerSlam, we got to believe that he believes. And he played into that a little bit when he was like, well, I wasn't speechless. What was the word he used? I was shell-shocked because I didn't think that I want the world title. And then it was, one of those words where then he goes, I need the world title. Little cliche, but you know what? What followed was good. Fans did seem to think, oh, God, is he about to retire or give us a lack of confidence speech? But no, he didn't do that. He got him Gunther's face. And I really think, kind of like Goldberg and anybody who's been a big babyface star, you kind of, as you age, but you're still in a main event spot, you got to play the greatest hits or completely be a Chris Jericho and reinvent yourself. And that's not what Punk's doing. I don't think anybody wants that, not yet at least. I thought this was, I am the best in the world. And I think the highlight, the peak for me, although I'll say what I wish was in the promo, but I'll first say what I like most is when he said, you've had a great career and a great run, Gunther, but I have beaten more Hall of Fame, main event, legendary names than you. Basically implying, yes, you're world champion, but you have something to gain by beating me. So that was, to me, I thought the highlight beyond the intensity. What was still missing is, why should fans not only want to see Punk win, but see Gunther lose? What is it about Gunther that fans should kind of take extra delight in seeing showing up? And I didn't get enough of that. And I guess, what he said, I think he had like one insult. He framed him as like arrogant or something like that. But I would have liked, and I said this last week too, I think there's material there that we'll never see probably, because this is it. For Punk to go to look into what Gunther has done, especially to Jay, but others, in the way that he builds people up and then he takes a cheap shot at him, and that's the sign of his own insecurity. Psychoanalyze him a little bit, or kind of point out why people don't like him. And they didn't really go there. And so that's the part that I guess was missing. But I like the idea of I've beaten more big names than you. The spotlight's not too big. The moment's not too big. I'll be fine. Paul, how about you?
Yeah, so I think he effectively turned the tables on Gunther in a way that we didn't expect. Gunther ran him down so much last week and made him look like he was not even deserving of the title shot. And my favorite part was when Punk said, "There's levels to this, kid. You're not on my level."
That was good. Yep.
And that really worked. But you're right. The only thing that he pointed out about Gunther was that he was arrogant, but he didn't deserve it. Punk said that I deserve my arrogance. I've earned the right.
Yep.
To be
Yes.
arrogant. And you're right. That certainly doesn't exactly give him high ground or give us, reason to really want to see Punk win. But I'll take a fired up Punk any day.
Yeah. Yep. So did this segment tonight make you think Punk might end Gunther's reign at SummerSlam?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what you want. Whether it's going to happen or not, you want that. You want people thinking that, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, he had me convinced it might happen, was saying he needs it. He was not equivocating. He wasn't saying, I'll do my best and I might not win. This was good. This got things back on the right track.
Now, my follow-up to you, Paul, is, do you want to see CM Punk win? Is that better for Punk? Is it in some way good for Gunther? What do you think?
Yeah, if the last 2 months hadn't happened, I would say absolutely. CM Punk has been on this, amazing return journey. The fans have been with him every way. He's delivered more often than not. And yet, the last couple months, coming out of WrestleMania, he seemed like the number one face in all of WWE. With Cody having kind of a humiliation at the hands of Cena. But it would be a weird journey for him to grab the title now. So I guess what I'm hoping, and I don't know what the chances of this are, but I'm hoping that Punk wins and Seth is healthy and cashes in on him. I think that would be a nice, or he almost wins and Seth prevents it, fulfilling his vow that he would never allow.
I think I just lost your audio, Paul, unless my earbuds went out. So chat, let me know if let us know if Paul went silent or not. Otherwise, I'll try to fix something on my end. By the way, I'll just read a couple chats while we do this. Paul, you can hear me? Nod. Can you hear me, Paul? Okay, something's going on. Okay, Paul is silent. All right. So anyway, I'll read a chat. Yeah, Paul's refiring things up there. Derek Mitchell said, CM Punk this is from the chat. CM Punk is at his best when he has a chip on his shoulder and fire in his belly. I don't mind Punk being retrospective, but he needs to be in his ignorant. He needs to be in his ignorant and cocky. He meant something else other than ignorant. I'm not sure what. But yeah, he needs to be cocky. And yeah, I think that's what I mean by staying on brand. Derek also points out that Derek Mitchell points out Punk said he was dumbfounded, not shell-shocked. So I don't know where I got shell-shocked, unless that was another part of the promo. So dumbfounded is better anyway, because it was all just part of a swerve, which there's too much of. Oh, I don't want the world title. I'm gonna look sad for 5 seconds to scare people. Paul, I heard a little noise, but I'm not sure if you're back. Let's test your audio. Nope, we still can't hear you. Maybe plug your headset in and unplug it.
Okay.
No, now you're back.
All right.
Well, whatever you did, remember that worked.
All right.
Very good. So let's go to standard deviation in the chat. He goes, Punk is a big believer in the Bret Hart thing of never promising you win a match when you're booked to lose. And that's what I thought was going on last week. Do we think he promised to win or just vowed that he needs the world title and I'll show I'm still the best in the world? Like, did he? Because one, I think you can use language that convinces 90% of people, not parsing words. I'm fired up. I want to see a win, but and without promising something you don't deliver on. So I think there's room for that. What I don't like is the idea that we don't want to get fans excited about a babyface winning any match if they're going to lose, because you want fans to be disappointed. It's the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. That's the selling point of this drama. So, yeah, I mean, I think Gunther's going to retain, but I'm not super confident in that. But yeah, I think Gunther should retain. I'd like to see Punk go in a different direction, but so much depends on the timing of Cena losing the title and what happens with Cody, and does whatever they do with Seth, and there could be a cash in if Seth, because we'll get into that too. So I just don't know. But standard deviation said, I think he convinced 99% of the people he promised a win. Maybe. But standard deviation said, apart from one line, I thought the rest of Punk's promo was not inconsistent with the possibility that he's phoning it in. Interesting. And so, yeah, and then standard deviation added this. Punk's best line was tying the championship to the 10 years of people chanting for him, which casts a sense of story-driven destiny over the outcome. I don't know if destiny... I mean, that's a fair interpretation. My thinking was just a purpose larger than him. Mm-hmm. And I think that's good for babyface to have a purpose larger than yourself and your self-interest, which is I want to hold this belt above my head as a thank you to someone else. So I like that.
Agreed. Yeah. Doing it for someone other than himself really works. Although he did call the fans chanting his name for years a constellation prize, which I think was a slight slip of the tongue.
Yes. And as Lyra Valkyrie learned, SummerSlam is this weekend, not 2 weeks from now, 1 week from now. She lost the crowd with that and the little dance on her shoes. That was tough. I felt bad. All right, we'll get to that. All right, let's. We got more chat comments. We'll get to them. Let's pause here and introduce ourselves, and then talk. We can talk more Punk Gunther, but obviously SummerSlam right around the corner, so we'll preview that. We'll talk about what they did with Hogan tonight. We talked a lot about that on Friday. That's why I didn't lead with it tonight. There wasn't a lot new, but there was some new, and so I think it's worth talking about that as we progress here, and we certainly welcome chat comments. This is a Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show from Monday, July 28th, 2025, and I'm Wade Keller, host of the show and the founder and of Pro Wrestling Torch newsletter, the editor of the website PWTorch.com, and the host of various podcasts, including the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show, which you're listening to or watching right now. We have our distribution through our podcast feed, and we also broadcast or stream live on YouTube, and also are available on demand on YouTube with our main post shows every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. And also on our PWTorch daily cast feed, we have, by the way, I'm a little distracted because we got major storms coming through. So if I seem like I'm losing my train of thought, it's like lightning happening or winds or something like that. The radar showed we were just going to be on the edge of above the red, but that was like 2 hours ago before, like right when Raw started. So I don't know if things shifted. So I'll find out. If we go off the air, it's probably my power going out. I'll just give people a heads up on that. Storm season here. So yeah, if I seem distracted or lose my train of thought, that's why. Anyway, so yes, you can also, and this pertains to SummerSlam, we'll have live post shows on our YouTube channel here on Saturday night and Sunday night. Brandon LeClaire hosting both nights. Greg Parks joining him at least one of the nights. So join us live on the PWTorch YouTube channel, both Saturday and Sunday night. Those shows, by the way, will be distributed on our podcast feed, but instead of the Wade Keller post show feed, it'll be on the PWTorch daily cast feed. It's easy. It's free. Just search PWTorch to subscribe to that. By the way, if you enjoy my approach to covering wrestling, you want to hear everything that I do on the free side of things, you also want to search Wade Keller and subscribe to the Blue Logo Show, which features our weekly flagship and other original content, plus flashbacks and interviews and pay-per-view previews. So just search PWTorch and Wade Keller and subscribe to everything that pops up with our logo on it, and you will be covered. But we're here to talk Monday Night Raw on Netflix, and my co-host is Paul Weigle. He is a PWTorch contributor. Did I pronounce your last name right?
You did. You nailed it.
Oh, good. I hadn't thought about it, and since the last time we talked, and then I'm like, as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh gosh, I should have double-checked that. Paul, it's good to have you back. Good to have you. You're a longtime Torch reader, relatively recent contributor on the official side of things. Tell people about what you're doing for the Torch now.
Sure. So I write the weekly WWE Rising Stars, Fading Stars column. Usually drops on Thursday, and I go over the performers who stood out to me this week, the last week of who is out overperforming in their role, who was doing well and maybe is in line for a bigger role, and also who is underperforming or falling flat. And for those who are being granted greater opportunities or an even better stage, I sort of review their prospects. So
yep.
Just one fan's take on who's shining and who's faltering in the WWE.
I like that format. I like your columns. It's we're checking out. We got a lot of talented writers putting out think pieces, opinions, analysis. It's not just, I say this all the time. We're not just SEO driven with some headline with a tease and then you read it and, it might be news. It might not, actually, we're trying to be different than that. And I think we succeed. So check it out. Live TV and pay-per-view coverage. I'll have my live SummerSlam coverage, my written reports on Saturday and Sunday, but also a ton of other coverage and contributions throughout the week. We also have really cool 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and 5 years ago flashbacks. 30 years ago, Raw reports went up this weekend. Our 20 years ago, Raw reports went up earlier today, 3 of them in a row in July, and it included the build to Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan. So what are the odds, that would be going on 20 years ago to the week, just given, Hogan being in the news, of course. So you can kind of read about that hype again and what I had to say about it. And then our 30 years ago Raw reports that I wrote way back in the mid-90s are also available. So it's kind of fun. Go to the Torch flashback section in the menu or just scroll through our main listing on your mobile device or desktop. It's fun to kind of, oh yeah, that happened. Or if you never saw them, kind of go, oh, that happened. Because a lot of times, especially with the Diva stuff, which you'll read about 20 years ago, the Diva competitions and Jonathan Coachman getting suggestively, I don't even want to get into it. It was an old boys club, and it was gross.
Things we endured as wrestling fans,
and the things that just 20 years ago seemed appropriate. Right. Or actually, they didn't seem appropriate to us back then. But yeah. Anyway, let's not go there for right now. That's a whole other topic. Okay, so you're invited to call the show. If you're a PWTorch VIP member, there's a link in my TV report covering Raw on PWTorchVIP.com. If you're a Patreon supporter, there's a link there so you can become a video or audio caller. Just turn your camera off if you'd rather not be on camera, just like our old Blog Talk Radio days. You can also email us, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. And then we also have the aforementioned live chat, and we love hearing from people in the live chat as we're talking. You guys really help us with commentary. I'm being told that the link might not be working, so I will momentarily check on that. It's possible I put up the wrong link, but first, let's see what topic. Well, Paul, I'll throw to you. What topic do you want to cover next from the show? What do you have something to say?
Well, I mean, we got to talk about Hogan. I know.
That's where I was heading. Hogan. I was like seeing if you're going to steer us away from that. So yeah, what do you think of what they did Friday and what they did tonight? And did they seem? What do you think of what they did tonight, especially?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, what do you say about Hulk Hogan? We all have mixed feelings about the man. They really threaded the needle and chose to focus on his strengths, his successes, and so many of us, grew up with this, with watching Hulk Hogan as a part of our lives, and have something of a relationship with a person we've never met. So I think this really sort of tapped into that nostalgia in a positive way, and in a way that didn't make more of him than he was. And
I think the issue, I did have at least one of the links incorrect. Sorry about that, everybody, for calling in. So I am fixing that now on the VIP site in real time here, and then I will also update the Patreon page so that you guys, if you do want to give us a call, can. I am usually good about double checking that, so I apologize to everybody. Why is that not showing up? Okay, it's harder. I'm less familiar with the Patreon interface, so doing that on the fly is a little tougher. So I'll get to that in a moment. So the issue with Hogan, we ran a poll today on PWTorch.com asking readers if they thought that WWE handled things last Friday well. I was complimentary of it. Chris Adams, in his SmackDown Hits and Misses column, gave it a miss. He thought that that too much was given to Hulk Hogan, given that he used the anti-black N-word, the anti-gay F-word in his 50s. And not only did that, but he did not handle the fallout well, to say the least. And he lost a lot of people who might have had room in their heart to forgive him for, I guess, in his 50s, blaming his upbringing in childhood on dropping that word and talk. It wasn't just the words, because the context mattered too. It was, what he said about, his saying to his daughter, essentially, if you're going to marry a black guy, you better be rich or better be famous. Otherwise, I'm caricaturizing that only slightly, but I think taking some of the edge off it actually in doing so. And the talk with his son, it was just kind of gross to listen to, a dad trying to be cool and get over with his son. And I think Nick thought it was kind of cringy at the time more than it was succeeding, but I don't know. I can't read his mind. So in our poll, I asked very simply, were you okay with how WWE handled acknowledging Hulk Hogan's death on SmackDown? No, they should have done more. Yes, they did just enough and not too much. Or no, he didn't deserve a 10-bell salute. My position was yes, they did just enough and not too much. That would have gotten my vote. That is the majority view. We're at 63% chose that, so almost 2/3 are in the range of SmackDown. That was just enough, not too much. 25% said they should have done more, and only 11% said he didn't deserve a 10-bell salute. They did too much. So, that's where we are, and I mean that. Public opinion matters. I've been doing a series of podcasts on the VIP podcast feed since last Thursday when news of Hulk Hogan's, when we learned that Hulk Hogan died. I've been doing a Wade Keller hotline every day. Rich Van joined me on the first show. We talked for well over an hour about the last 10 years of Hogan, going back to the scandals that were 10 years ago this month, where the racist comments and the anti-gay F word, which no one talks about, but it was there too and should be talked about, were surfaced from years earlier. And then a two-part series with AWA historian George Shire. And we went in depth for 40-minute sessions roughly, talking about Hulk Hogan's AWA days and the rise of Hulkamania pre-Vince McMahon. And that I love talking that because I lived that as a kid. I was not I don't know that I was the original Hulkamaniac, but I might have been. I mean, I'm not kidding. I was like a 10-year-old kid, give or take, who was like watching this larger than life guy. My first wrestling event ever was Vern Gagne's retirement match against Nick Bockwinkel, and then Hogan shows up and he becomes the new top babyface, and it was totally marketed to me. I mean, I was the target market, among others, but certainly I was. And so I was, loving it. And, I got to see Hulkamania in person live before Vince McMahon got his hands on it. And it was a turnkey finished product, but he amplified it with his national ambition and New York market foothold and obviously all that. So George and I talked in depth about the formation of Hulkamania, where it stood, and really good historical perspective on it. So that was a two-part series. And then Kelly Wells, who's the host of PWT Talks NXT, or co-host, and also writes New Japan match reports for PWTorch. He and I talked again did about 2 40-minute sessions talking about Hulk Hogan memorabilia and merchandise. Kelly Wells runs a store, one of the biggest in memorabilia shops in the Midwest and maybe the country. He's the GM there, and he's an expert in it. So we talked in depth about Hulk Hogan starting merchandising, his trading card, the one that recently went for like $100,000+, and we talked about Hogan's influence on that and where he is relative to non-pro wrestler sports stars and stuff. So really interesting. Again, I think everyone's going to just march through his career and talk about the NWO and all that. And we did that too, and that's good. But I wanted to do some other things because he was that big of a deal. He influenced so many things. So those are VIP exclusive. There's a free sample of the first part of the George Shire AWA Hulkamania one. The part 1 is fully available for free. I'm hearing tornado sirens, so I'll have to check the weather while we talk here. I think. All right. So we'll see.
Well, it was part 2 in particular was fascinating. I love the discussion of, if not Hulk, who might it have been, and what might have been if Hulk had not left for the WWE. I mean, just fascinating. What if?
Yes, that is talked about so much, and it is such a fascinating topic. Is what if he didn't? All right, I'm gonna take a second and look at where I am on the radar here, just to make sure I don't need to pause. And all right, so we're 2 right now. Okay, yeah, I can see why the tornado warnings are going off. There's a purple dot headed my way.
You wind up in Oz. Well,
I might need to lower my pause and log in on a laptop and move to the basement. We'll see. So okay, back to the thing. The part 1 is available. Search PWTorch in your podcast app. There's a charcoal gray logo that shows up, and it is available for free for everybody. Just search. It says PWTorch VIP. You can upgrade to our full VIP podcast lineup in there using your Apple account. Just unlock those shows, but you can get a free sample right now if you scroll through and look for that. So VIP membership is a way to just get everything that we're talking about. PWTorch.com/GoVIP will give you full details on how all the various ways to become a VIP member. There is unlock 30+ years of archives and ad-free access to our free shows and a bunch of VIP exclusive shows. All right. So I wanted to say that because, we have been covering Hogan in a lot of different ways. Yep. And if people are listening to just Friday's show and today's show, our focus, of course, because it's the SmackDown and now the Raw post show, it is mostly about what we saw on those shows. But there is a lot more. We do have a lot more coverage out there, and I just want to be clear about that. We don't think the only thing about Hogan is how WWE is covering his death and what his scandals were. So, Paul, I read the poll. And got to plug in there and let people know they can listen to the history of Hulk Hogan and the AWA. I thought tonight they went a little further in celebrating him than they did Friday. Having Hacksaw Duggan and Jimmy Hart talk about him. They were good friends of his. I'm fine with that. I thought I would want to compare Levesque's language, but it seemed like his speech went a little bit more into the personal side, just slightly. And Cody said he's our Babe Ruth, but nobody vouched for him like as this great person. Nobody said, and I think one smart thing they did is they didn't go, well, there was controversy, but he really was a good dude otherwise. Like, no one tried to excuse anything, and I'm glad that they didn't do that. I don't want to give them great credit for not being horrible about this, though, or completely tone deaf. So, again, I kind of throw to you. Is there anything you would have changed about what you saw tonight?
Yeah, no, it seemed appropriate. I mean, he was a deeply flawed human being. But I think the fans let him know what they thought of him at the Raw debut, and their disapproval. But he's deceased now, and I think it does sort of cast a different. I think we want to think about him in a different way. And it was really notable to me how, with the exception of Hacksaw Duggan, who called him a mentor, and Jimmy Hart, who said he loved this and he loved the fans, no one really had anything positive to say about him as a human being. They really just focused on his undeniable effect on the industry. So I thought it was reasonable. The only thing I thought was kind of in poor taste was I don't know which feed you got, Wade, but my feed comes with ads, and there was an American beer commercial with Hulk Hogan selling their beer, which did seem inappropriate in the context.
All right, I have shifted, although I might not be able to remove. Let's see if I can remove. Oh, I can. Cool. All right. I moved to a bunker, so my sound won't be as good for the moment. But with tornado sirens going by and that purple dot coming through, that's the most intense. We need to take shelter and be safe down here. So, Paul, I missed some of what you're saying while I was transferring down. Give me a brief recap. I apologize to everybody for that.
Yeah, I thought it was very notable that very few of those who spoke about Hogan had anything positive to say about his character. It was really only Jimmy Hart, who you can tell just loved the man, who said that he loved this, he loved the fans, and Hacksaw Duggan called him a mentor. Everyone else really just focused on his on Hogan's effect on the industry, which is undeniable, and really sidestepping his moral compass or lack thereof.
Yep. The video package on Hogan showing cool vintage footage, I think, is fine. The having two of his friends talk about him. I mean, I will say this. This is in no way to make any excuse for what Hogan did. And I have to preface by saying this, but I don't believe it reached the threshold where they should, because of Hogan's stature, not have acknowledged his death. And I think that's a low bar. I think it's a high bar to be as big of a deal as you are, and then not have the company that you essentially worked for the vast majority of your career. They needed to acknowledge him. So then what became clear to me is they knew they could not celebrate him as a person. And they did not want to talk much about it other than Cody saying it's complicated. And they did that also. And so the issue that I brought up with, was it Kelly Wells, I think, on part 2 today in our talk, is did they treat Hogan this way now with no new information about him compared to when they put him on that first Netflix Raw, and when they wanted him on Saturday Night's Main Event, and when they accepted his sponsorship money, and it was creepy, but a commercial aired on Netflix for his beer tonight. That was they learned there's nothing new about Hogan. So why did they not celebrate him in the same way that they did last for the Netflix special? And my conjecture was because they can't make money with him anymore. He's dead. So and I say that not to be like super cynical, but like they felt he was worth marketing and celebrating and propping up and having stand in front of a crowd, and he got booed by that crowd. But why? Like, if they thought they could still make money with him, now maybe the answer to my question, and I'll give them this, is their mind changed when that LA crowd booed Hogan.
Oh yeah.
And then he wasn't on Saturday night's main event, and he
Yep.
wasn't celebrated since then. So maybe the crowd expressing themselves in LA is the whole key to everything.
Yep.
And that's
I
what
think
happened.
that they learned they couldn't get away with it.
Yeah.
The crowd spoke volumes, but I do think it was notable that, you know, essentially the same crowd of wrestling fans was ready to celebrate him in part, you know, tonight.
All right. So I think we're done with Hogan, like by WWE. My hunch is there won't be any kind of beyond the merchandise being touted tonight. I don't think we'll see another plug tomorrow. I'm getting weather updates in the background while I'm doing this. So yeah, keeping an eye on things. So I think we're done. And for people who think they shouldn't have done anything with Hogan, he was a massively influential, huge star that was part of WWE's rise. And I think you have to, if you're WWE, you would be drawing undue attention to almost canceling the legacy and his contributions by not doing something. Now, I would be comfortable with them doing less. I want to say this, and then I'm happy to move on from Hogan and talk more about the show after this. I would have been completely content with Paul Levesque standing in the ring and saying we lost the biggest figure arguably in WWE history, certainly the headliner of the early WrestleManias that led to, and they could have been more honest and said it led to WWF being the dominant brand of pro wrestling. Without him, who knows who would have taken over? I think this idea that pro wrestling wouldn't exist without Hogan is silly. It was huge before him. It was huge without him when he was around. That's sort of silly. But the notion that he is what made WrestleMania survive and become the preeminent annual show in WWF, the number one brand, absolutely. That might not happen without him. So acknowledging that is absolutely fine. But I would have been okay with Levesque standing in the middle of the ring and saying we lost Hulk Hogan, acknowledge that he was influential in WWE surviving the early WrestleMania years and thriving, and then throw to a video package showing his history and moving on. I mean, I would not be complaining about that. So I just want to be clear. When I say I'm okay with what they did, I think they pushed the limit of what I wanted them to do, or what I'd be comfortable with them doing. So I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, and I do think the fans' response showed it was clear that people wanted some release, and I do think that it was good that WWE gave them that. I was at a festival this weekend, ran in a race, met a number of strangers who brought up Hogan, who wore Hogan shirts, like people that is a part of their lives and their childhood that you know that they need to express, and so I think it was, from my perspective, I'm glad that they did what they did.
Tilt in the chat says we respect the character of Hulk Hogan, and they did the minimum, and it was respectable. So that's a chat. Derek Mitchell points out the last WWE appearance was actually a segment on the May Saturday's main event in Tampa, Florida, but it was pre-taped. And Derek Mitchell says, I'm not going to pretend I don't have a problem with Hulk Hogan and his racist behavior, but understand his friends acknowledging him. So anyway, I'll be talking more. Honestly, Hogan's a huge enough figure in this industry. I'll be talking more on the VIP side of things, including tomorrow on the flagship. So our Blue Logo show, check it out. Search Wade Keller. The plan is for Rich Fan to join me on the flagship. So we'll do more on, including media coverage of Hulk Hogan, by the way, which has been fascinating to see. He's gotten a lot of media coverage, and I'll be doing a Wade Keller hotline specifically later this week. My plan is to do that on just the wide array of the type of media coverage that he has gotten so far. All right, so let's talk about some other aspects of Raw here. Let's talk about the main event. Roman Reigns made an unadvertised appearance to save Jey Uso from a 2-on-1 beatdown. Braun Breaker saying we're taking over. We are, the cameramen work for me. Everybody here works for me. It's an interesting insight into his character and where they're going with him. What do you think? I mean, the main event was kind of lame. I mean, it's a couple minutes commercial break, a couple minutes, boom, another DQ. I think there's too much of that in WWE. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, that was a disappointment. They didn't. I mean, it wasn't much of a match at all. It wasn't even, they didn't even make it close to what, where we thought a finish was about to happen.
Yeah.
But I do think they had to do something to make this, and to build up some sort of animosity or feud.
So Roman Reigns, in terms of getting people excited about this match, Paul, did they? I mean, the beatdown was pretty severe. I mean, this was. I mean, if you're looking for, like, if you want people to buy in and go, I can't wait for Roman Reigns and Jey Uso to get revenge, they gave you that, but they also might make you think, are they even going to make it to the match? You know, I mean, the tsunamis and then the spears through the ringside barricade. That was hardcore stuff. I mean, they have gotten over Bronson Reed's tsunami and Braun Breaker's running tackles, essentially the spears. But he has the football background. They've gotten them over as killer moves. And Cole's like, if Jey doesn't have broken ribs, I don't know. So I think what they've done is they've created a greater sense of doubt that Roman and Jey are going to win, unless you're savvy to booking. And how this works, as Tilt says, the beatdown equals a Roman win. I mean, there is this sort of, well, the challenger or if the babyface gets one up on the heels are winning, or if the champion gets one up on the challenger's winning. So as Tilt says, in my mind, it gave away the finish. I'm not sure that giving away the finish means all that much, sadly, because in WWE, unless it's a title match and there's a title change, finishes don't mean a ton.
I do think they have swerved us enough times before where that logic is not airtight by any means.
Yeah.
But I thought the best part, it's rare that we get a definitive beat down like that. It reminded me of The Rock beating Cody Rhodes, before WrestleMania. However, a couple years ago. However, I thought that the exclamation point was Bronson Reed taking Roman Reigns' sneakers. I mean, talk about that. That was funny. It felt like taking a. You know what? It's It's America's version of taking a luchador's mask off. I guess so.
In this culture,
it reminded me of Khrushchev taking his boot off and putting it on the table at the United Nations.
Yes. Yep. Paul? What do you think about Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker? I mean, Reed is the one that is obviously the surprise. We knew Braun Breaker was pegged to be a top guy. But now we're at a point where Bronson Reed is yes, he's a sidekick, he's a secondary player, but he's not being treated as like that secondary to Breaker, and he's really talented. There's been people with their eye on him for a long time as someone who it'd be great if WWE could get him over. Tell me about how you think they're doing with him.
Yeah, it's stunning. I mean, I watched Reed in NXT for many years, and he was not particularly successful there. He certainly wasn't pushed. Despite a brief reign as North American champion. But his beatdown of Jey, I mean, it looked convincing and dominating. So, so I think they're doing a great job. I never would have expected this. I wouldn't have predicted years ago that he'd be where he is today, but they're making the most out of him.
Yeah. All right, let's anything else to say about the main event?
No, not too much. I mean, again, I do think they had to do something to make this match interesting. So so in that way, I think it was a good thing. At least it put some drama into this match, which it's been such a lightning fast build. And SummerSlam, I think, really feels it may be a fantastic show, but it feels a little diminished by this lightning fast build. And my question for you is, has there ever been a SummerSlam that you can recall with so little build?
No. And I mean, I understand the world that they live in right now. It's content is king, and they're getting paid a ton of money by NBC and by Peacock and Netflix and USA Network, and they want to give a lot of content. But the turnaround, the amount of content they have in the calendar is not just because they're getting paid so much. It's because they want to counter program AEW. So, is a laugh on WWE now because they're like, well, we're going to hurt AEW by running Saturday Night's Main Event and Evolution and NXT special all on the same weekend and try to hurt the buy rate. But if in the end we're sitting here 5 days before SummerSlam talking about how SummerSlam's build seems compact and rushed, well, if they had taken that weekend off a couple weekends ago, They could have been not talking about Evolution, saving that for a different time, not building up NBC Center, its main event, not kind of a little bit of NXT promotion in there too, and not just burning fans out. I mean, we could have more build. And granted, sometimes WrestleMania build, Paul, seems to go on and on and on and on, especially with a later start. So I don't know. I mean, yes, this is too compact, and I think it's unfortunate given, I think, a pretty strong lineup that there isn't more time. It's not a huge. I don't think it's a huge deal in terms of how many people are going to watch. It is just more. Did everything just feel? Are all these matches feeling a little less special or underdeveloped? And is that just sort of a haze over the anticipation for the event? And I mean, I think so. But again, I don't think it's causing anyone not to. I shouldn't say not anyone. Of course, someone's not going to want to watch, but because of this, it's just because there's so many people. But I don't think it's a significant enough number to show up. But I don't. If I'm WWE, I would not want to do this for major events in the future.
Yeah, especially, this of all SummerSlams, going for 2 nights for the first time. I mean, they really should be swinging for the fences. Now, that said, Evolution had no build, and it was a super fun show. So, so SummerSlam could follow suit.
Yep. All right, well, let's bring Sean from Tennessee into the conversation, see what he wants to say. Always good to hear from and see Sean. Sean Plichta, welcome. What's on your mind?
Yes, I am back. It felt like forever, but I am back. I finally had to catch up with all your post shows because I go back and still listen to them, even if I don't get on or get in the chat. But it was fun listening back to
you ever pause and just do call in, pretend you're calling in with your thoughts?
I probably have at some point. I bet I probably have. I probably thought, oh gosh, I got to get this in. I wish I was on there right now to say this or whatever. Paul, good to talk to you, man. How you doing?
Hey, great. Always great to talk to you, Sean.
Yeah, so just going back to the main event, what you guys were talking about, I wanted to bring up what Todd said on the fix. I know VIP members get to hear, but free people don't. But he talked about with this match, and I'm 2 minds of it, and there's 2 ways to think about it. I'm with Todd. Todd said it makes perfect sense just to do the Roman Reigns. If you're going to go a big match, have Roman against Braun Breaker, have 2 big stars. Just have one beat the other, which, he said you would assume Roman would beat Braun because Braun is a star in the making. He's on his way to being there. Have a big match, even though the problem is, like you guys were just talking about, the build hasn't been very long and you're kind of rushing it, which kind of stinks because you could have a 5, 6, 7 week build to really build this up. But obviously, on the other hand, which I get where WWE is coming from, you have Jey Uso, who is over like Rover. I mean, I don't love what Jay's doing personally. It doesn't do a lot for me, but he's a big star. The fans are behind him 100%. They're starting to build the friendship, the bloodline kind of not back, but like the love that obviously they have between each other. They're coming back. They're wanting to be together. And then you have Bronson, who is doing a lot. I just said in the chat, I think Bronson's doing a lot of really good stuff. I would love to see, if it were me, I would love to see Bronson pin Jay and have Bronson and Braun get a big win. I don't think they're going to go that route, but that's what I would do. But I understand why they're doing the tag match, even though I think they should be brave and say, let's have Roman beat Braun, move on, have Braun do some other stuff for a while, eventually get back to maybe beating him down the line, whatever. What do you guys think about that?
I'm not against it. And Paul, you had mentioned that they sometimes seem like they're following the pattern of whoever gets one up on the other going into the PLE is then going to be the one who loses, but they have broken from that. I don't have the chart in front of me, but I know there's been occasions where they weren't as predictable as we thought. And I like that. And I'm not ruling that out because you can delay that revenge for a while. Now, the question is, does Seth Rollins show up unexpectedly? Would it be in this match? Normally when somebody has a legit knee injury, we see their surgery, we see photos, they talk about it. They haven't here. I mean, I think it's pretty clear now. It's the first time WWE's done it, and so I didn't think they were doing it, and I kind of wrote it off like, it looked legit to me. And to what ends would they do it? Well, it blew up, and with John Pollock reporting, he heard there's going to be an angle where Seth. I mean, that just blew the cover on something that people might have been more suspicious of than me from the start. So they're kind of downplaying it. But still mentioning it. Heyman tonight said, he's going to be out for an unknown amount of time or something like that, kind of cryptic, like, okay. So he could factor in. So when we talk about like who wins and loses, Sean, it doesn't mean if Reed and Breaker win, it'll mean anything to Roman and Jay. It could just be, haha, so that's not really hurt. gotcha. It doesn't really prove anything. So I don't know. So, I don't mean to punt on these like predictions, but the thing is
No.
a win or a loss in football is okay. Now you're 5-1 or you're 4-2, but in WWE you can win, but not win anything because it's all about the angle, or it's all about interference, or it's all about a distraction. So when we go, well, it makes more sense to have this happen, and this is where everything is pointing. Well, there's so many twists and turns and shenanigans. I don't say it's pointless, because I think if you say, is a title going to change hands, that is like, that happened. But when they don't even know what a DQ versus a match thrown out is, like when someone interferes and the announcer goes, oh, they're throwing the match out. Like, no, the person who interfered on behalf of someone else, that means that people who benefited are DQ'd. Cole got it right tonight. They got it wrong last week. So it's frustrating when that stuff happens. So they don't, my point in saying that is they don't clearly prioritize stressing match outcomes are sacred, and that's why we're all here, and it's a disgrace when it happens. Instead, they just move on to, what a beatdown, isn't this exciting? So I don't know. I mean, like, you threw to me on the question, but I don't know if it matters. I need to see the context to evaluate whether it matters. But my answer with all those caveats is I'm okay with Breaker and Reed beating Jay, probably not Roman. Paul, what about you?
Right.
Yeah, so I'm with you, Sean. I like the idea that had it been Roman one-on-one with Breaker, that would have been very exciting. Breaker could have handled a loss. So I do think they like to fit everyone on the card. So so then what to do with Jay and Bronson? I don't think it's. I sure hope that you're right, Wade, and this is not a legit injury, because I don't think it's working without Seth. I think they need Seth. And if Seth does come and do a cash in, then kind of like you said, Wade, it doesn't matter as much, because they can pin Bronson, they can beat Breaker. And then, the faction gets its heat back, having the championship and having pulled the wool over everyone's eyes. So that's my hope.
Yeah. So, and that's my thing. And like you said, it overall, it doesn't really matter. The thought of, and I want to say real quick, I know you brought it up earlier, but man, I'm so sick of the non-finishes. It's freaking so overdone. God bless America. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm with so many people. When you see the main event, that match is going to happen, you 100% know that there is daggum not going to be a finish to that match. You absolutely know going in, and it takes you out of you're out of it. You're like, well, Jay's going to do a couple super kicks, and here comes Braun for a spear. And you're like, oh my God. I mean, it's so annoying. I wanted to say something about Hogan real fast, because I've never really brought it up on here about that, because we never just came up. But it was fine what they did. Again, I'm okay. I understand the racist things he said years ago. They were horrible. They were disgusting. Nobody's arguing that. And I agree with everything you guys have said over the years. I just think when he's gone, let's just say what he did for the industry as a whole. And he was a global star for, in that time, and let's move on from it. Let's, I just think now Vince, say whatever you want. He's just a horrible person all around every way. Yeah, he did a lot for the industry, but he did so many horrible things that you can't even count them on one finger. So, all that kind of stuff. But they did fine for what they gave Hogan. It was fine. I mean, but going back to Punk and Gunther, love the promo tonight.
You do not expect WWE to bury Hogan on a personal level. Right. Within hours or days of his death.
Yes.
But you expect journalists, when chronicling his career, to talk about the reason he was booed on his last live national appearance on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And you look at the dark side of something that derailed what could have been a comeback. So, when you say move on, I think there's people who will choose to move on, and there's others who think it's a time to reflect on somebody with power, money, every resource anybody could ever have, who as a 50-something-year-old in private, which makes it worse, because that's when you show your heart, I would argue. Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you, Sean. I just kind of want to broadly say this. It's a time to look and go, what went haywire with him, that's where his mind was at when, as I talked about, he wasn't a raving expressing racist thoughts constantly behind the scenes, like with his other wrestlers that anybody I've talked to. In his defense, this did seem to be like, it wasn't the defining trait of people who knew him, but it was still a situation that was revealing and very disappointing to a lot of people, especially his black fans. And I don't know how many gay fans knew what he said, because it doesn't get talked about enough. But he used a hurtful words that are used to dehumanize people and in some cases justify not just discrimination but violence. And he should have known better. And that's part of his story, and it's a big part of the final chapter of his story. And I think
he failed to own it.
That's the thing. It's not just what he did.
Right after,
it's the brutal attempt to try to not take responsibility for it. And so, yeah, but I mean but we did one show on the racist comments with Rich, and I've done a 2-part show on his early years of Hulkamania being born, and I did a 2-part show on Hogan merchandising and memorabilia. I mean, that's not moving on. It's just basically random order based on who was available when I was recording shows. But I mean, there is a lot to talk about with Hogan besides that. And I want to be, and that's why I said earlier in the show, I want people to know we're going to sit here and focus on how did WWE handle it tonight. That's a story. Clearly, they were very cognizant of not wanting to step in it or amplify or exacerbate a sensitive situation. And that's a story we cover on the post show. But I do a lot of other shows, and we are focusing on a lot of other aspects of Hogan's career. And so I wouldn't use the word move on, but I would say be sure there's a comprehensive look at his career. Because if from my chair, there's a lot of fascinating slices of Hogan that are worth covering. Just one of them is, how a lot of people hurt a lot of people and disappointed a lot of people. But there's so much more to him. There's so much to learn from, and it's so fascinating. So we will continue to cover those. All right, I just want to get that in, Sean. And I didn't say that to disagree or push back on you. It was just it was an opening to add a little context. Plus, I feel a little settled. The clouds have moved past. The electricity is on. I'm back in the studio. I hear distant thunder instead of like tornado sirens and fear of trees falling over. So I'm a little more composed. And so I wanted to get that in. All right, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, so going back to Punk and Gunther, I did people were, I know a lot of you guys even were saying, even Kurt last week said it was not good at all. And I was like, I mean, I didn't think it was bad. I mean, I think Punk said, I'm going to leave it all in the ring, and Gunther put him down. And I thought it was fine. I mean, everybody was like bashing it. And I was like, I don't think this is as bad as everybody's saying. But tonight was a lot better. I mean, Punk, what you talked about when he said, look at your resume. It's not, maybe not as impressive as you think it is. You're beating everybody. He probably could have said it took you 9 minutes to beat Axiom and all this kind of stuff. But he, just kind of made you want to believe in him winning the title. But I really don't think he should win, because I really, back in the back of my mind, I ultimately want Punk to turn heel at some point. And I know it's hard because the fans love him right now. And I get it. The fans are truly behind him. But at the same time, his best work, and I think his best mic work, will be when he turns heel, because a Punk Cody title match could be just epic stuff. And it would be so good. And there's so many people he could work with even on that side, to where I think that would be a lot of fun. So do you think that could be in the cards? Because I think Punk's going to lose, even though I know a lot of people would want him to win, but I think Gunther just needs to get some big win, some big time win. And this would be huge for his resume.
Paul.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, Punk heel Punk fired up. And he has a reason to be. He's got a reason to be angry because he failed to win the title. It works. I do think they'd be fighting a little bit of an uphill battle, because, like you said, the fans love him. So how could he turn that on its head? I don't know.
Do you have a timetable, Sean?
Well, see, that's what I was trying to think in my head as we were talking, because if Punk loses, I was wanting to, go to the Punk Seth feud, because you had something right there. It was, but now we don't know when he's coming back, so it's like, well, it kind of pushes that aside. I mean, I would think sometime next year. I wouldn't do it, really right away. I mean, I would build to something like, maybe not give too obvious hints, but do some stuff that would make you at least kind of wonder, is that possible? And then at the right moment, when Cody's got the title, just at some point next year, just have him turn and build to an awesome feud between the two of them. But I really don't know. But I just think as good as Punk can be as a babyface, he's been okay, but not where I would like to see him. And with a heel turn, I think, boom, he's badass Punk, like dominant Punk, like the guy I've been wanting to see since he came into WWE.
The Jeremy Diaz in the chat says babyface CM Punk is not his best work. Derek Mitchell, though, wants to know what value does CM Punk have winning the World Championship versus being the WWE champion? You can talk about that going into SummerSlam, but I mean, I could see Punk going, I don't want your day-gum secondary title, Sean. I want your major title.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He was trying to make it feel like, oh, it's a big deal if I win this world title, but it's not. It's beneath the WWE title. It just is. I mean, so.
I don't see those words ever being uttered on WWE TV.
Well, someone in the chat pointed out Sean said day gum, so I thought I'd throw it in there.
Hey, I got the Tennessee somewhere. I mean, it came in me at some point.
Totally. Yeah, people are enjoying it.
But no, I don't. Well, I'll let CJ talk about Bayley, the Bayley part of this. But as far as the Becky Lyra part, I do want to talk about what you guys think could happen in this, because I mean, I am torn in the sense of, I think Lyra's gotten a lot better in the last month. I think her and Bayley were just awful because they were bickering back and forth and it was just stupid. But with her and Becky, it's been really good. And I think ultimately, I guess if I'm thinking what they're going to do, I'm assuming Becky's going to win. And you just have Lyra go in some other direction, just build some other feuds with her, and Becky just got some, she's the biggest star. She's got some big things they want to do with her with the IC title. But I think Lyra is on a good track. I mean, she is obviously good in the ring. Her promos have gotten better since she started this whole thing. So where do you think they're going with Lyra, maybe? And do you assume Becky's going to win at SummerSlam?
Paul, go for it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the tarot cards say that Bayley costs Lyra the title in her fit of jealous rage. I mean, I do think
I like it.
I'm a big fan of Lyra. I think her matches are fantastic, but I think she needs more time. She had that babyface promo tonight, and it kind of fell flat. Sometimes it takes time. I think of who was it from the Judgment Day? Liv Morgan. They tried for so many years and she failed so many times, and she's great now. So it takes time, and I think Lyra needs a little more time.
Lyra came across as the warm-up act at a county fair before the juggler comes out. Like, hey everybody, you excited? Yeah, it's a beautiful day, and it'll rain later, and look at my shoes. And I mean, it was. I mean, I'm not trying to pick on her, but it was awkward, and the silence in the crowd after she did, look at my shoes, look at me twirl, and whatever she said about him, and the crowd's like, oh God, what are we watching? It was rough, and so yeah, I mean, it was a step back. I mean, and then she got interrupted quickly, but yeah, nothing felt like, oh, this is a natural. So I don't know. I'm not saying they should, pull the plug on the plans with her based on this, but I think you learn from every promo. And like you said, Paul, I mean, there's people who have struggled and gotten better, and you need reps, and there's going to be failures that you help steer you towards your strengths. And this was, an area where they're going to look at this and go, all right, here's some things we can work on. I mean, I don't want her to lose sleep over it, but I mean, it is her career. There's a lot. There's a lot going. I think it was The Onion had an article about what to do if you're drowning, and it said, don't listen to people who say don't panic. This is serious. You could die. This is a big deal. You should be panicking. So I'm started by trying to calm Lyra, but this could be the difference between her getting cut in a year and having a rich and fruitful 20-year career. The pressure's on. She's got to get good quickly because there's a lot of people in line who wants her TV time. That's just the nature of this business. It just is. And I mean, we're getting to football NFL season, and there's a bunch of players who are like, you know what? I think I can make the team, and someone else is going to get cut because I've been working hard, eating right, studying tapes. I'm going to, I mean, that's the nature of things. And there are people looking for her spot. So it is serious. And there are wrestlers who don't take it as seriously. And, some have friends in high places. And so they don't need to, but others don't. And they're constantly being evaluated. And so, yeah.
Especially with the glut of NXT women's talent
that's
now,
a thing.
Who are ready for the. I mean, I'm totally with you, Sean. I really like her. I love her matches, but yeah, the promos it needs to change.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, tonight's wasn't her best work. That's for sure. I didn't think it was awful, but it wasn't her best work, and it was okay, we gotta. But so I'm interested to see where they go with Becky next, because I really don't know, because you have these top women, and then you have a lot of women you could just kind of randomly put, and I'm curious who just randomly fits in that spot to go against Becky in the next few months, which will be kind of interesting going into Survivor Series. The one thing I will say real quick, and then I'll let CJ get on, is All I can say is I hope Cody beats Cena, because this Cena heel turn just isn't working. It's not good, and I was worried about it anyway. I gave it a try. I wanted to give it a try. It's
Mhm.
not working. Cody needs to have the title. See where they go with him. That's all I got, guys. It's always fun talking to you, and I'll hopefully be on again soon.
Now, Sean, how do you rank the 3 worst cities in America that you travel to? It's a joke from the last time he was on.
Mhm.
I will say one thing. Pittsburgh, I guess I knew it was high, but I didn't realize
Awful?
how hilly it was.
Oh,
How
okay.
like just you're up in the hills, you're driving, you're like, wow, this is really high. Like, holy cow. But Pittsburgh, as far as the stadiums go, Pittsburgh was the best. I mean, it was the most fun stadium I was in. I mean, Detroit was actually pretty good too. I mean, Adam Kittle, agree with me, but it was. I had a good time. I enjoyed every stadium. I enjoyed a lot. Really good food. I will say the food was really good, so that was fine. But yeah, ultimately good trip. Glad to be back though. Glad to be talking wrestling.
So it's, honestly though, which of the 3 cities? What it was Pittsburgh, Detroit, and what?
Cleveland.
Yeah. So I mean, Cleveland was the worst. Can you?
I can't say anything's the worst. I'm a positive person.
Like,
Wade.
I don't-
can't say anything's the worst.
Okay, which 2 were the best?
I would say Pittsburgh and Detroit were the best.
Oh, so Cleveland was the worst. All right.
Cleveland was the third best.
Yes. All right. I'm just having fun. I hope people understand my
Go
deadpan.
VIP, everybody.
My deadpan
Always
humor.
fun. Always a pleasure, guys.
Yep. Cool. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Yeah, Sean. Last time he's like, "Oh, I'm going to 3 cities to see, baseball games and stuff." And I was like, and then he named him. Like, why are you going to the 3 worst cities in America? And I just made him, just trying to take away the fun of his vacation. But of course, we all know 2 of those 3 cities are wonderful. One of them is awful. I won't specify which one.
Enough said.
Yep, enough said. All right, we got CJ on to talk about who knows what. CJ, welcome.
What's up? How are you doing?
Good. By the way, for people, we call them tornado sirens in Minnesota, but I don't want people to think I'm over dramatizing. It was severe thunderstorms, major winds, no tornado touchdowns, no tornado watches. We just call them tornado sirens. I wasn't paying attention to the weather, but now I see it was only a severe thunderstorm warning. But those are still serious, and you need to take cover because still things can happen. But fortunately, as best I can tell from my other browser window, there were no tornadoes. And but who knows? There might be some trees blocking my way out of off the road.
So
I don't
you're
know
back up from the basement now. it
I
seems.
am. Yeah, literally, the clouds moved past. Once they moved past, I knew I was fine. So anyway, CJ, sorry, just wanted to update people on that.
It's all good. Before we go with Bailey, do you mind me sharing my one Hogan live story?
Yeah, CJ, it's fine. Actually, talk a little softer because I feel like you're coming through twice as loud
sorry.
as Paul. Paul, no, you don't have to apologize. You've got a good mic, but just for the sake of people listening, I think it'll adjust in post production. But for live people, it might be jarring.
I get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to one Nitro, January 4th, 1999. It was the night actually of the Finger Poke of Doom. I was in 5th grade, and at the time, I loved it. I was just happy to see Hogan live. He wasn't, if I remember correctly, he wasn't advertised for the show. Because I think if you remember correctly, that was when he stepped aside for a second to run for president in storyline. So when they first showed him backstage, and then they did I don't know if you remember, but they did the angle where Elizabeth, who did they? Oh yeah, they arrested Goldberg because he was harassing Elizabeth or something, and he was supposed to get his rematch with Kevin Nash. It was the Nitro after Starrcade. So Hogan took his spot, and then they did the swerve. But yeah, that was the only time I saw him live, and it was awesome. Looking back on it, was it the best thing that they ever did? Probably not. But I don't know what you thought of it at the time, but I loved it at the time. It was awesome. What did you think of it at the time, real quick, if you don't mind me asking? I don't hear you, Wade. You muted?
Yeah, CJ, I really, I like to stay focused. I don't want to do Hogan matches on the show. Yeah, I just want to stay focused on Raw. I mean, I got to show the producer, and I save that stuff for other shows. But you can email the flagship, WadeKellerPodcast@gmail.com.
I might do that.
Yep. I'm not trying to brush you off. It's just I don't want to open a Pandora's. I don't want to open the
Yeah,
floodgates.
then the
Just general
floodgate.
questions. Yep.
I get that. I get
Yep.
that. Okay, what do you think they're doing here? And do you think she's gonna end up attacking Lyra and not Becky? Maybe both. I was kind of thinking they were gonna make it the special referee, but then they have.
CJ, let me ask you this, and I'll throw to Paul for his thoughts on it. Did you watch this and think, oh, they got something going with Bayley? I'm excited, because that should be your response. She got promo time. Her losses played into a storyline. I tried to tell you this was probably where things were going. The bookers are giving her attention. Now, you might not like that the direction her character's going. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but they are giving her time and they're giving her a direction, and she is on the radar. So I need to ask, what do you think?
I just think it's BS that now first she gets pulled for Mania, and then she doesn't have a SummerSlam match. Couldn't they be doing this in a different way? Like, yes, she's getting TV time, and it could be worse, but I'm just praying this ends up good for her.
Yeah. All right, Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, it's building to something, CJ. This is a story. This isn't her just losing and going off TV for a while. She's going to play into the finish at SummerSlam of the Women's Intercontinental Championship. She'll be the deciding factor. So I think there's more to look forward to with Bayley.
So you think it's still a good reason to be optimistic?
Well, it depends on what optimistic means. I mean, Paul, how would you? Are you Like, do you mean, are we optimistic that Bayley is figured into future plans and they put thought into her storyline? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you, CJ, I'm more interested in Bayley than I have been in a while, and as a casual
fan, that's good.
That says something.
Yeah.
I mean, for the first time in my career, I'm at a loss for words, and she walks away. That is a cliffhanger. That is not. She's not. I mean, I don't be mad, but I don't. If it happens, don't be mad at me if it happens. Be mad at WWE. But I mean, I doubt she's going to be cut next week. I think they gave her promo time. They have plans for her, and yeah. So I mean, clearly, this isn't spoiler territory. It's just what they did. They clearly are giving an indication that she's upset not being part of SummerSlam, and therefore she will find a way to become part of SummerSlam. Or there's an alternate. She isn't at SummerSlam and she's bitter about it, and then she shows up next week on Raw and takes it out on Lyra or someone.
So I do think that you were wise to think that she might be the guest referee. Being the guest referee for a match with no rules would be a little ridiculous. But that I'm sure they considered that strongly.
So you think she's gonna go heel really soon, or kind of play a tweener for a little bit? I know you're not the biggest fan of that word, Wade, but what do you think?
I think it's tweener. It's sort of like getting to smell your food but not eat it. Like, why bother? I mean, like, either make us feel real passionate for you or real passionate against you. I mean, you can be. This is why, like, shade. I don't like the term shades of gray anymore because it means different things to different people, and it gets just used as a crutch. And then you can argue about two people who agree can argue because they define what shades of gray means differently, which I think was what was going on a lot of the time. Same thing with tweener. I'm not against a character when you watch them where you're not sure what's going on with them. You're not sure what moral decision they're going to make next, or are they going to be loyal to their friends? Are they going to be loyal to their the Constitution that guided their actions in the past? You don't know. That's a mystery. It's not being a tweener. It's watching somebody either deceive you, work through something, or where they haven't decided what they're going to do yet. And that can be what happens too. That's not being a tweener. That's being on a journey, and you're watching it on TV. Do I think we're going to watch her go on a journey? Well, we just did tonight. She's on a journey. Yeah. Where she lands is the mystery. But turning her again, is it best for her? Maybe. She might be better after this. But the more turns you do, the less any of them matter. And so then the question is when you think about turning someone, is it worth watering down what a turn means, and then you decide, is Bayley worth watering down what a turn means? And CJ, you'd say yes. I think some people would say no. She was a heel too recently. Let her just be more of a gatekeeper or a legend or a legacy star. Treat her well. Let her visit main events now and then, but don't involve her in a major storyline where she turns. I'm okay with this, though. I'm okay with her being upset missing WrestleMania and SummerSlam. It shows she has pride, a bruised ego, a healthy but bruised ego, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. Why am I coming up short? I mean, that's a story a lot of people face in their lives, in their professions, and whatever. So I'm okay. I'm okay with what they're doing.
Yeah, and I would have weeks ago said it's too soon for a heel turn, but I'm thinking maybe that would be best for her at this point.
Yeah. CJ,
but again,
any closing?
What?
Sorry,
you're breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up too. Any? I know you were talking, but any final kind of thought on Bayley? I want to move on to other stuff too, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, as long as they can tell me that they have a good storyline, they're putting some decent thought into, and then I want to say, for a second I thought you. Then I think wrestling's good, and what?
Oh, you're breaking up really bad. I was going to say you're going to understand why I have to cut you off, because when you listen back, your mic, your internet connection's really breaking up. Sorry, CJ. Call again. All right, let's keep rolling through calls. Oh, couple chat comments actually. Derek Mitchell just said Bayley's actively being used on TV, so they have a plan. We just need to see it play out. Exactly. And there's another comment that I was gonna bring up. Mark Pischetti says the role model gimmick is cringe. Bayley needs a hard reboot. Derek said, I agree, Wade. Bayley's getting Apple TV time, and maybe he'll turn and aligning with Becky Lynch as old guards versus new stars. That could work. I like that. Yep. Sean Plichta says, I just think the Bayley promos haven't been as good in the last year. No, not horrible, just not great. I'm into her, but the fans aren't as into her. Standard Deviation said, if the crowd doesn't get behind Bayley as an R-Truth-like underdog babyface, then it probably corners her into emerging as a heel with a new attitude. And the key is, if you turn her again, keep her there for a long time.
She's seems like she's at risk of becoming the big show of the women's division.
Yeah, yep. AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, Lex Luger. I mean, there's so many wrestlers who are just turned way too often, and people just stop even knowing who they're. Like, I have made the case with Sami Zayn. I tried to explain this without Todd Martin accusing me of being a weasel. But I have said that I think Sami Zayn doesn't turn. Sometimes he's classified as heel fighting babyfaces. Other times he's classified as babyface facing heels. But Sami is just insecure and sort of desperate and doesn't have his moorings just locked in, because he frets. He's just fretting over things constantly. And so I don't think Sami, I mean, yes, when he was a heel character, I mean, yes, you can produce a clip and go, Wade, here's evidence he's very different. But the way I look at it, any way that he's acting isn't some jarring change from who we know him to be. It's just a manifestation of his own insecurities, his fretting over everything and trying to cling on to some group that will accept him and embrace him, and then being insecure when that doesn't work, and then trying something else. And so, like, to me, Sami turning doesn't mean it's not still Sami. It's just the latest choice Sami has made, who we know, and he's still Sami. He's just making one of his bad choices instead of one of his good choices. So to me, that's not the case with most turns, but like, I think, and we'll see, like, if Sami just starts like being like John Moxley heel, like, I'm gonna choke you with a chain and I'm gonna set you on fire, and like, well, that's not Sami. No one's gonna buy that. But people would buy that. Sami would be like, oh God, I haven't won the world title, and there's this guy in my head, in my ear, telling me these things, and I pushed back, but now it's starting to make sense. Like, he is that follower. He's easily influenced. That's who Sami consistently is. It's just, who's the last person who told him what he needed to hear or gave him what he's looking for in order to feel like he belongs. So I think there's ways to be a heel or a face where you're not really turning in the traditional sense that we've seen turns. Bayley, maybe is in that classification a little bit. You know, she's like, oh, I'm speechless, and she wants to succeed. She has pride, so she has to align in a different way or use different tactics. It doesn't mean at the heart she's still not Bayley, but that's the key in I think modern pro wrestling is how do you present someone in a different lane with the opposite category of opponents and not have it feel like cosplaying a heel. You know, and that's what Becky faced when she turned heel. People are like, well, you're trying hard, but we just see you as performing as a heel. So that means you have to have that storyline integrity, or at least take people on a journey. Paul, any thoughts on my thoughts there?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it just shows what great character work Sami Zayn does when he turns heel. He doesn't really feel like he's a different person. He's just, it seems like he's on a journey, and that works much better than, you know, someone essentially becoming a different person than the John Cena stuff we're seeing that just doesn't burger. As you mentioned, Becky Lynch, you know, she does everything to get boos, and I really admire her for that, and she really does she seems like she really wants to put over her opponents, but it really doesn't seem like her. I think the crowds don't totally buy it. They still love Becky.
Standard deviation in the chat says, yeah, I can see that. Even the conspiracy theory, Sammy could have been perceived as consistent with his current babyface character. Yeah. And what do you think of Karrion Kross and the stipulations, in essence, they added to the match, Paul?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I keep thinking that it's done between them, and it keeps going. I'm looking forward to what the payoff is. You know, one possibility being that Karrion is kind of right, that he, through his cheating, he pushes Sammy over the edge. Sammy has to cheat to win, and he realizes that maybe that can get him where he wants to go. And another great end of the story is the opposite. Sammy is tempted, and he decides that is not worth it, and that's not what he's about. And that would be a big victory for him as well.
What do you like the Karrion Kross character? And I mean the canon on the TV show, not the delightful fun he's having on social media with people, which I don't think they've really introduced in canon on the TV shows. And so I care what is in canon of the TV shows he's on. Is this a compelling, fun side mid-card character and he plays a part well, or is it wasting TV time and it should be going to somebody who has an upside, or what? I don't know. Yeah. How do you feel?
Yeah, no, this is great. I think it's I don't pay attention. I don't watch the social media stuff, so I won't judge with that. But but I think it's fascinating. Just as you mentioned, you know, but so much of wrestling is that so many characters have a good side and a bad side, and that duality plays into so many of the stories. And so having a devil on your shoulder type character, I think makes sense, and I think he does a great job.
Yep. Let's go to our next caller now. Danny Tachito is in waiting here. Danny in the backyard. How's it going?
It's good. You're safe. I mentioned something in the chat about being down here in South Florida with hurricanes and thunderstorms rolling in all the time, and I'm just I could completely empathize with watching the radar, hoping that everything's safe. So
my family's texting me, are you in the basement? Are you in the basement? I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get there, but I'm texting you. But thank you.
All right, so I just have two quick things. Number one, I've listened to the first 4 parts, I think, of the VIP audio on Hogan.
Yeah.
And I recommend everybody doing that, obviously. And I've also listened to hours of other things since last Thursday about Hogan and his legacy and all that, all the analysis, whatever. And one of the I'm going to run a theory by you, because I haven't really heard anybody talk about this, and you can agree or disagree. I think that setting aside the Vince and all that, and the Rocky 3 and all, or was it Rocky 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like setting aside all the things that would have put him into the mainstream, you know, that were going on at the time. I think as a professional wrestler, the reason why he clicked so much was because he was a giant playing a babyface in peril. And I can't think of any other wrestler in my lifetime, and I'm 47, which I'll get to in a second, that like was able to be so much bigger than everybody else, but then also made you think that he was like going to get destroyed. You know, like even against Paul Orndorff, which is my first memory of wrestling, the Paul Orndorff turn again.
That's a great first memory.
Paul Orndorff get Heenan family, Verge, and try to take him out. And then the Heenan family ended up being even more and trying to take him out and trying to against Earthquake, on Superstars or whatever the show was, like Earthquake in the Brother Love segment, crushing his chest, and he's getting letters from and it's just like he's the only wrestler I can think of in my lifetime who was 6'7", 300 pounds, and yet could play the like Ricky Morton babyface in peril role.
Yep.
And so I'm just wondering, like, if you agree with that, and like you think that contributes to why he was so huge, but also, can you think of somebody else who was like that in your lifetime, since you're older than I am?
I think Hogan was really good at creating a sense of jeopardy as a babyface when the majority of his opponents were smaller than him. Smaller than him. That said, Dr. D. David Schultz was vicious and scary. Andre was bigger. Nick Bockwinkel was more experienced, had Bobby Heenan at his side to add a unpredictable dose of interference and distraction. Paul Orndorff was phenomenal as Hogan's opponent, one of my favorites.
I just mean, sorry to interrupt.
Well,
I just mean in terms of his drawing power. Like the reason why he drew so much money was the fact that he was unique in terms of being a giant, quote unquote, but then also being able to play the babyface in peril, who the crowd would just get behind. That's what I mean.
And Paul, as I was kind of going through the opponents, I was processing exactly that in my mind. Like I'm thinking of the different opponents he had and the way that how did he succeed at making people feel this might be the end? Because that's one of the selling points of a babyface champion, is making fans worry that there's a champion in peril. I need to be there to support them and cheer them. And so, yes, one opponent after, obviously Earthquake posed physical fear or, a physical threat to Hogan in a different way than some of his smaller opponents did. And the vast majority were smaller than him. My first thought is the thought I'll bring up now, even after talking through it and thinking through it more, is most babyface champions, most babyfaces period, create a sense of jeopardy in their matches, and they sell to create that jeopardy, and then they make a comeback, and then the heel has to be really good at taking bumps so the fans can delight in seeing them, get bounced around the ring. But the babyface has to show that they are hurt and that there's a reason to be scared. And Hogan was good at that. And I say good, and if those words are being transcribed and my inflection isn't clear, he was great at that. It just, you watch, and he had it. It was a natural skill he had. You can see it in the Nick Bockwinkel matches in the AWA, which I'll stack up against any of his matches in terms of the Hogan formula. Nick Bockwinkel is among the best heel bump takers, among the best at selling punches, among the best at making you want, kind of in a Gunther type way, making you want to see him get punched in the face for how arrogant he is. He and Bobby Heenan were the best manager-wrestler pair, period, that I've ever seen, due to their juxtaposition, but also sharing some awful traits in common. So look those up on YouTube. Push back if you disagree. I don't think you will. Hogan learned a lot from them. And Mick Harsh and I've talked a lot about that over the years in various radio shows. We have archives of talking about Hogan and Hulkamania, and because Mick ran the Nick Bockwinkel fan club. He was a fan in a day when being a fan of a heel wrestler wasn't as common. But Nick was a phenomenal opponent and really, I think, helped teach Hogan, as did Heenan, as did Greg Gagne as a babyface who was very good. Greg was rarely bigger than his opponents, Vern Gagne's son. But he taught Hogan a lot, and I think Hogan used him. And when I've been on Steve Austin's podcasts, we've raved about Greg Gagne and his showing fire, but also being a babyface in peril. So part of the two-part discussion with George Shire, AWA historian, over the weekend, is Hogan was surrounded by people who taught him what you're talking about, Danny. And so I think you can, but as we see with Lyra, just to pick on her, like you can have smart people around you and you might not have it. So Hogan had it in him, but he was surrounded by people who brought it out of him and set him on a good course. My final point to your point is Hogan had to do that. Like, he had no choice. This wasn't a choice. He had to have that as part of his match formula, or it wouldn't have worked. He would have had, I mean, there was a reason he was booked as a heel initially in the WWF. It just made more sense. He's cocky, long hair, muscles. He's going to beat up the poor little guys. But something happened in the AWA that George and I kind of talked about, and Hogan had to adjust, and he did, and he succeeded in doing it. And like a lot of wrestlers who succeed at a large scale, but take heat from the current day fans for not, being great athletes, great wrestlers. And I don't think Hogan would say he was a great wrestler in the way that people praise Ric Flair or Will Ospreay or Kenny Omega or AJ Styles or Seth Rollins. Yeah, but there are things a lot of those wrestlers could learn from Hogan. And there's things that don't apply and there's things that do apply. But Hulk drew money for a reason. He was, and Rock admired Hogan's craftsmanship and craftiness, and Hulk talked about it in his book. I mean, it's like 60% BS, but there's 40% if you know better. That really is true. What Hogan's saying about what he brought to that match and how it went. Man, it'd be fun if Hogan had just told the truth and wrote a truthful book instead of here's my 60-40 BS to real life ratio, and you're going to really have to do a lot of research to decipher which is which. But yeah, anyway, go ahead, Danny. Go ahead, Danny. Anything else you want to say? No, we can't hear Danny.
Yeah.
I muted myself.
Okay.
I pulled a Wade and muted myself. No, I was just asking if Paul had any thoughts on what I had said.
Yeah,
Danny, that's fascinating. I had never thought of that before, but he certainly emoted very well. I do think that Vince really tried hard to find bigger opponents for him, the King Kong Bundys and the Andres and the Barbarians and all that. But that's fascinating. I never looked at Hogan that way before.
Yeah, and the reason, well, there's two reasons why I bring that up. One is that I don't think it was a coincidence that once the new generation came around, or like let's say that 92 period where Hogan putting all the other stuff aside that you could throw in as parts of this, mix, this stew of what created Hogan and what was the downfall of Hogan in the early 90s. Like, I think one of the things is that he couldn't play the babyface in peril anymore because he was bigger than Bret Hart. He was bigger than the people that were around. I mean, even after he went off the steroids and thinned out and whatever, like he was now bigger than people. So nobody believed that he was like this after the Warrior match at WrestleMania. Like he was now bigger than everybody else that was left. And so you can't be the babyface in peril. And then the other thing is I'd wanted to link it to modern day is that while I can't think of anybody in my lifetime that did we're 6'7", 300 pounds, or we're bigger than everybody else, but somehow able to play the babyface in peril role, the two people that are there today are two of their biggest stars. And I don't think that's an accident, which is Rhea Ripley, who's bigger than all the other women, but yet is able to unsocket her shoulder and play the baby face in peril at WrestleMania. Like she's the underdog, once she turned babyface. And then Roman Reigns, once he's turned babyface now, tonight even, he was getting his ass beat. And people are like on his side, but he's one of the tallest, most sculpted, most beautiful men in the company. And like, so I think it links to today, like Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley are kind of, have taken the thing that Hogan did 40 years ago and have brought it into the modern day in a different way, but it's still the thing that's drawing money. And that's the point I'm making, is that like, this is a kind of a secret, a cheat code of how to draw money if you can as a big person. Anyway,
so some things are timeless and some are era specific, and the context of Hogan at that time was a house show formula that Bruno Sammartino wrestled. I mean, if you're a good opponent, Bob Backlund wrote about it in his book. I've interviewed Bob Backlund about that. You hope to be a heel who got 3 matches in a row at MSG. It was disappointing. It was, if you only got one, that meant you didn't draw well, or they didn't think they could draw a second time. Hogan was part of that formula. You gotta make it look like the heel is a threat. You got to do the cheap finishes to get to the second and third match. And it's a different formula now. And so I think Roman Reigns is, for instance, playing with a different. There's some similarities. There's a through line of core tenets of pro wrestling, but there's also, it's not trying to draw out a house show. It's trying to fill TV time with a compelling character who will help sell merchandise, give your brand a cool lead babyface, and yes, tell stories in the ring that pull people's emotions into the match. But he can pull people into the match in a different way. And when he's teaming with Jey Uso can be the guy doing all the selling you're talking about, Danny, and Roman gets the hot take. So we'll see. We haven't seen a ton of post-Bloodline Roman in a babyface role. And he, unlike other people as top babyfaces, Roman's a part-time legacy guy now. And so I don't know how much he's going to be in the role of, here's a heel opponent, take him down, move on to the next one, take him down. And where that selling is important, protecting the brand, the cool factor, telling a different kind of story in the ring. There'll be selling, but I'm just saying kind of the measure of success in the game plan going into it just different because they're not trying to draw out house shows. They're trying to fill TV time with cool characters who amplify the brand. So yeah, it's different, but I mean, there's definitely something in what you're saying, but I don't think Roman needs to be as good as Hogan to also be great for the role he's in. Yeah.
No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
I meant your comparison with Rhea Ripley. I think she has a lot of that.
Yes. Right.
She's bigger than all of her opponents, and yet she really does a great job of selling, and always seems to be in a bad position.
Yep.
Yeah. That's 100%. And I'll move on after this one comment. Is that Wade? One of the things I was thinking about when I was formulating this theory of mine was that imagine Roman Reigns didn't have to go through the stuff he did, 10 years ago, right? Imagine if he was now 33 or something. You could seriously be, obviously everything's different, but he could be doing the babyface apparel, though being chiseled and bigger than most people and all that stuff. And he could have done it, but he did it anyway. So kudos to him and kudos to everybody who booked that. So let me just move on now to CM Punk, because that's what I do. I'm the CJ of CM Punk. So Wade, on your piss and vinegar scale, I chatted last week, last Monday. Where was this on the piss and vinegar scale that you want to see out of CM Punk?
Well, I just wanted passion and a chip on his shoulder, and I think.
Well, that's what I mean by piss and vinegar.
Well, yeah, but I'm differentiating. Piss and vinegar can be I'm upset at the establishment, or I'm upset at something that doesn't have to do with this match and it's driving me. I see a little bit of that as kind of the piss and vinegar aspect of it. So to me, this is just a driven, motivated, passionate Punk that we didn't get last week. That felt like, if I win, great. If I lose, I lost to a better man. We don't want that Punk. This was a Punk who had the chip on his shoulder. I am the best in the world. I've beaten more big names than you have, Gunther. I'll give you credit. You've been impressive. I'm more impressive. You have a world title. Yeah, it gives you status, but I'm the best in the world, and I'm going to beat you because I'm the best in the world. He's like, I'm not giving that up yet just because I've been around a while and took time off and I'm older than you. So, this entered the zone that I think he needed to be in. I don't know on a 1 to 10 if I can do it because, again, he wasn't ranting about things unrelated to the match. That was driving him in some way. There wasn't it's him and his fans. He wants to win for his fans. So this was good. I thought it was, and I said last week, he's got this week to do it. It's compressed, but last week was weird, but they owned what happened last week. They acknowledged it. And I think they, I don't know if corrected course is the right way. They just simply added this chapter that they needed to add. Yeah. In last week, we did not know we would see a fired up Punk looking Gunther in the eye and going, I'm better than you, and I'm going to prove it. We got that this week with passion, not just matter of fact, and then letting Gunther get the final word, and he stands there. We got something different tonight. In this, if last week I was told by someone, yeah, we're gonna have Punk play it low key this week, and then go all out next week, I wouldn't want to know that ahead of time, but it would have, I would have been like, well, good. But last week I'm like, they better not do this the second time, and Punk better show up again and have a more passionate promo. So this checked the box, and for a 2-week build, they're in good shape.
All right, so, I'm going to put you down for thumbs in the middle. Thumbs in the middle, the traditional.
No.
You're giving it a thumbs up then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Oh, all right. He sounded thumbs in the middle there.
No, I don't.
Danny,
do you think
Paul,
did I sound thumbs in the middle?
10 on the punkometer scale.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Actually, I just wanted to bring up the Punk segment. I think that I guess if there was anything else I was going to say is that I saw some comments in the comment section questioning or like starting to rethink whether Punk is going to win or not. And as the CJ of CM Punk on this show, I will say, no, he's not winning. And I think I'm going to say what I've been saying for months now. This is all him. I need the title. I need this. And he's been doing this for months and months and months where he just keeps saying he's going to win. He's convincing the audience he's going to win, and then he loses. Yeah. It's another further into that, but that's my opinion. I've been on it for 6 months now. And so, yeah, that's all I had to say. I really wanted to get your take on the Hogan stuff, mostly because I wasn't around on Friday night. And it was nice talking to you, Paul. And as always, everybody go VIP and listen to that Hogan series. Guys, it's very fascinating because Wade is one of the only – I've listened to The Ringer. I've listened to Cheap Pete. I've listened to Cornette, all that stuff. And, like, the only one who was there was Wade Keller.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, of the people I are in my podcast rotation, obviously there are people that were there. There were tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that were there. But please, everybody go VIP and listen to that series because it's great.
Thank you for the kind words, Danny. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Very cool. All right. Let's Dwayne says we haven't mentioned the Sammy Cross segment yet. No, we did. We spent 5 minutes on it about 15 minutes ago. Roughly both estimates. So you can rewind on that. Paul, what'd you think of Paul Heyman's promo at the beginning and Jey Uso's response?
I can't believe that Paul Heyman cut a promo on family, moms, dads, and Santa Claus. I mean, that was reaching pretty low, and had the desired result. I think that the interplay between them was intended to cast doubt in the mind of Jey that he could trust Roman. But I thought Jay's response, although it was so passionate, it was kind of incoherent.
It was, yes.
So I don't think it completely worked, which is why I think during the main event the announcers went back and kind of explained it to us and explained what Jey was trying to say, which was important. So it was fascinating. I love Jay's his passion and his nonverbals, but I was confused.
It was the weakest Jey promo from articulation standpoint, I guess. I mean, it's a place he goes sometimes where it's like, whoa, but this was like overmodulating, muffled, rushed, hard to understand, and it wasn't good. I don't know what happened, if he just got too excited or what. I don't know that it's going to matter much because Jay's popularity is yeeting and facial expressions. We saw it in his reaction to Hogan. I mean, he emotes. People feel like there's a window into his soul, and that is, when Roman Reigns did not give people any windows into his soul when he was a babyface. He was he was emotionally unavailable to fans. He was standing in the ring, reciting lines, and you could just hear in his head, "Tell me what to say, and tell me what to do, and help me get rich." Check. He was told what to do, and he got rich, but he didn't get cheered. And now he's better. Obviously, went through and they found a character that's better fits his natural disposition. Jey, they have the right character for his disposition. It's just, Jey, slow down. Just take your time. And so I mean, I don't want to dwell on it, but it wasn't good. Heyman was good. I mean, I don't think it was super memorable, but it had its really fun moments. The Santa Claus stuff. Cover your kids' ears. And then he goes, except for the Jewish moms, because my tribe knows better. We don't lie to our kids about Santa. And bringing up Jay's dad, talking about Reigns saying, hey, you didn't get picked to be the tribal chief, you picked Solo. Reigns is lying. All these people lying to you, Jay. I mean, Jay is kind of like Sammy in that sense. You can imagine him getting a little rattled if someone makes some good points who is smarter than him or presents himself more strategically than he goes through life. And certainly Heyman is probably both of those things. So, I mean, Jay is people love Jay and they want to see him do well. And he was getting cheered later in the night, but not his best mic performance.
And yet, I think people cheared. They got the gist. They're like,
That's what I mean.
They got his nonverbals.
Doesn't matter a lot.
It was hilarious that Corey Graves called Jay. He called his delivery nuclear.
Yes.
Just how off the scale it was with his.
Totally. Yep. But yeah, he was mumble mouth. But yeah, the announcers acknowledged it. Any thoughts on AJ and the Kabuki Warriors and Dominic and Roxanne and Raquel? I mean, 11-minute match.
Mm-hmm. It was a fun match. It did not say its welcome. I thought that the story of Dom not wanting to tag in was kind of fun. I was maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I mean AJ absolutely destroyed him. I mean, if they had a match like that at SummerSlam, it would be like the Honky Tonk Man versus the Ultimate Warrior, 2-minute special. So
yeah.
And Kyrie looked. I thought Kyrie looked better. She's been having some ring rust in the last since her return, but I thought she looked good. And Dom gets the heat, so it worked.
Yep. All right, let's go to an email from JB. We'll wrap up pretty quick here. JB says, "Where is the multiple different wrestlers wearing El Grande Americano mask angle going?" I do not know. Paul, what are your thoughts on that?
Imposters in wrestling never works. So I really hope they have a plan with this because, it's right now it seems like it's going nowhere fast. But that's what I would have said about the CM Punk and Gunther promo last week. So I think it is kind of bizarre that they're spending time on this when they have SummerSlam, to promote. And they didn't do as much as I think they could have done. But I think it's a great question. I wish I had the answer.
Yeah, I mean, Dom is wonderful, but just great chicken shit heel. And he'll make a good baby face someday, but they do not want to rush that. It's a fun feud for AJ. I mean, yeah, it's good. Okay. Lyra's promos feel a lot worse when she doesn't have someone of higher quality on the mic to bounce off of. Yes, 100%. Mm-hmm. Yep. A lesson to learn there. The Cross Sammy feud has to be culminating in a quit match, right? Especially after the feel of tonight's segment. I don't know. I mean, it almost is like, I wouldn't say I quit, but if I win, you have to say I was right. If I lose, I'm going to say you're right. I mean, it's along those lines of there's a stipulation. You say something, you have to. I don't know. I don't know that they have to follow it up with an I quit match.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd, I think, especially since that the only way Cross can win is that if he gets Sammy to break the rules to defeat him, and then the point of having him have to say you were right is kind of moot since he lost.
Yeah. Another TV main event ending in a DQ while the babyface takes time to cue up his music as his cousin gets beat down. Yeah. Main event DQs. I mean, it's a problem, and main event means less now than ever. It's a booking formula that Paul Levesque believes in. I mean, he's doing it, and it has some negative ramifications, but he believes it's worth it to not do clean finishes more often. Yeah. But
at least usually they at least give you a halfway decent, 3/4 of a match first. They didn't bother this time.
But Paul, let me pause. Yeah. What if you worked a 7-hour workday, and they gave you hundreds of dollars an hour for your job?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm earning a lot of money. This is great. This is like more than I ever earned in one day doing this job or any job like it. And then in the 8th hour, they go, oh, by the way, we've changed our currency. None of this matters. When this money it's monopoly money now. We've completely changed money. These dollar bills we get, they've changed. It doesn't spend, or it's disappearing ink. like it's whatever. I mean, like I don't need a perfect analogy. You get my point.
Yep.
Who
Yep.
cares if they give you a good match? There's endless good wrestling. You know what I mean? Like there's endless good wrestling out there, and that used to be there used to be like 5 good matches a year, and we debate which are the top 3. Like that was how we did year-end awards in 1988. Okay, like there were 5 good matches.
Yep.
Now there's like 5 good matches in every 48 hours. So so this notion of at least they give us a good match. I'm not shoving you back hard here, like how dare you? But like, does it really matter if there's no consequence to the wrestling? Like people don't tune in to wrestling. Wrestling boom periods, and the main reason people watch is not to see cool moves. They might think it is. It's not. It's to see the journey wrestlers are on with stakes, where the moves lead to a finish that leads to consequences that pushes the story forward. Otherwise, we just watch old matches, and we'd watch them out of order, and we wouldn't even care about the finish. But none of that's true. I mean, yes, highlight videos and moves are fun and great, and I'm not discounting great athletes doing amazing things, but I want to break Levesque out of this mindset of, if we at least give him, 8 to 12 good minutes, that's enough for free. That's an old school mentality that I don't think applies today. You're teaching people wrestling doesn't matter. And there's other cases where that happens too, where there's 2 counts, but it's not going to be a 3 count, because the formula is you don't lose until you do the real finisher. And usually it's after you do it several times. And usually after there's some sort of interference. You want to break from those patterns. So to me, saying, they're in our main event tonight doesn't mean much anymore to me.
I think that is one of the reasons that WCW sank. They went through that really long period where there was never any. They would set up these exciting matches and there would be no finish, just repeatedly, and it got to the point of frustration. Although I do find myself, I see Io Sky wrestling Stephanie Vicaire, and I know there ain't going to be a winner here, but you still find something to enjoy along the way. But to your point, that the finishes do matter.
Yeah. All right. The TLC match seems good, but the SmackDown tag teams almost feel interchangeable at this point. And finally, Unpredictable Badass is a very lame and forced nickname. As always, love the show and go VIP. How you feel about that, Paul?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's better than Braun and Bronson, but they haven't even come up with a name for their faction yet. But Unpredictable Badass is a little worse.
A little clunky, a little bit clunky. All right, Sheamus, Grayson Waller. Any quick thoughts on that, Paul?
Sheamus can make his ability to make matches interesting and enjoyable. I think he's just a great storyteller. But he really does. He looks like he's in the worst shape of his career, and I think it really makes him seem less important and impactful. I love Grayson Waller. I think he's like the new Miz, who can wrestle a lot better.
Yeah.
But they really need to give him something to do.
Yeah. Tag team title match. You fine with that? We got about 11 minutes. Heels win. Nice little match. Then we have the Americano stuff that, plays to my point. Like the wrestling in the first 80% of matches doesn't matter, because most matches are a backdrop to some angle or shenanigans.
Yeah. Did we really need to protect the LWO after all their losses? It was unfortunate. Yeah, there was, like you said, great match, but there was little drama, and everyone knew that the LWO wasn't going to win. And they didn't even give us a clean finish that we would have expected. So you're right, the shenanigans ruined it.
And I think finally, just any thoughts on the what AEW would call an all-star 8-man tag match with the women?
Yeah, it was kind of fun to see a little bit of chemistry between the faces. I thought that Nikki Bella hugging Stephanie Vicaire, that didn't look great for Stephanie. I think she was caught off guard, but it was I thought it was a fun match. And Nikki still looks okay. I mean, she was never great, but she looks as good as she ever did. Yeah,
and she was better than Brie. Brie might think she's not there because Brian Danielson is in AEW, but it also might be just Nikki was always better, and they don't want to do Bella tag teams. They get enough out of Bella nostalgia from Nikki. I don't know.
Yeah. He's the better Bella.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Paul. Fun show.
Been a pleasure.
I had to go to the bunker for like 15 minutes there and worried about all my.
We had real life drama.
Yeah, real life drama. It's always something. It's live streaming. All right, cool. Thanks everybody. Yeah. So again, a lot of people touting the coverage of Hulk Hogan. We also in our VIP vault, podcast vault, have been we just do 18 years ago shows, and we happen upon now 18 years ago this month, the Chris Benoit family tragedy, and our intense coverage of that. I mean, like crazy, like intense in immersive coverage of that, including the night of first report that I did, all the shows. We scrutinized the media coverage and talked about the press conferences and the reports, the medical reports and all that. You can go VIP and march through the VIP vault. And when you're full VIP member, you can customize your podcast feed. So you can have a feed of just Wade Keller post shows, Wade Keller hotlines, a fix with Todd Martin, pay-per-view roundtables, Greg Parks Out Loud, NXT 8 years back. I'm not going to list all the VIP shows, but and you can just subscribe to the VIP vault. So you can, on your phone app, have like 20 feeds for different shows that we do and separate them. So if you're in the mood for catching up on old stuff, some of the earliest Insider podcasts anywhere are those VIP vaults, and you can catch up on years worth of them. But right now, the new one's being posted for the first time on an RSS feed ever is our Benoit coverage. So a lot of stuff current, immersive current coverage, but also a lot of history. And
let's not forget the PLE roundtables, always my favorite. The first thing I run to after the show is over. So just a fantastic bonus for VIPs.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, those are fun. And we have over 20 years of them in our archives, so, and they're in the VIP vault feed. So yeah, go VIP, support us, and we'll give you a lot in return. You can get a 7-day free trial on Patreon or through Spotify. Just search PWTorch VIP. That is not a customizable feed. The customizable feed is just with a full VIP membership. And but full details on all the options and all the pricing tiers is at pwtorch.com/govip. You can pay through credit card, debit card, PayPal, through Patreon, through using your Apple account. So yeah, check out all the details there. I'll be by tomorrow, not on the YouTube side, just on the Blue Logo Show, the Wade Keller podcast side. So search Wade Keller and subscribe to the Blue Logo Show, the flagship tomorrow. We'll have more on Hogan. We'll talk obviously a lot about the SummerSlam lineup and more. And then I'll be back Wednesday night covering AEW Dynamite live on YouTube and on the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling post show page. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.